Welcome everybody to another episode of B&B Hockey Talk, where we go around the NHL, our weekly segment. Remember to like and subscribe our B&B Hockey Talk on Facebook or YouTube, or both if you can. As always, we love our fans and we thank you guys for joining us. As you know, we play a lot of highlights and stuff on our Facebook page, and we get a lot of great interaction there. So I'm Aaron Bloxall, and this is my co-host, Mr. Matt Balzer. Matt, welcome. We're going to dive right in with the 3 stars of the month and then the 3 stars of the week.
All right, yeah. So the 3 stars of the month of October, we have the 3rd star from the Edmonton Oilers, Leon Draisaitl. In 14 games, had 12 goals and 25 points. And currently sits only behind what would be the 2nd star of the month from the Boston Bruins. David Pastrnak had 12 goals and 24 points in 12 games. And he now has passed Draisaitl for the league lead. Just insane. He's averaging a goal a game, which still boggles my mind with that. And then the 1st star of the month from the Washington Capitals, John Carlson, 14 games, 7 goals, 23 points, 2nd most points by a defenseman in the month of October, only behind Al McInnes, who had 25. And also the rookie of the month from the Buffalo Sabres, Victor Olofsson, had 6 goals, 10 points in 13 games. All those goals came on the power play, and all but 2 of those points were with the man advantage. So not a whole lot going other than that, but he has fit in well with Jack Eichel on that top line. And then
no one really running away yet with Rookie of the Year. I'd say, Jack Hughes is starting to heat up. Quinn Hughes, of course, has 10 points. Capo Caco's had more points.
Caco's actually pretty. I've read up. He's actually struggled. I think he's a -12 this year, and he only has like 2 goals and 3 points. There has been talk, or there might be talk that he might be in line maybe just for a stint in the AHL, just to sort of get things going a little bit, because I think that there's so much pressure on if you're like a top 2, top 3 pick stepping in right into the NHL. And I'll be interested to see how the Rangers handle him moving forward. But yeah, there hasn't really anybody that stood out really, like Hughes, Makar, Mikheyev, Olofsson. They're sort of like clumped together.
I was gonna say Mikheyev and Makar are the other 2 that are on my list. But I mean, Hughes and Makar, of course, are defensemen. And man, John Carlson, great first month of the year. Definitely leading Washington, and Washington right now for me is number 1 in my power rankings. But let's go into the 3 stars of this last week as well.
All right, yeah. So the 3rd star of the week, Mike Smith, went 2-0, including a 51 save performance and a 2-1 overtime win over the Pittsburgh Penguins. 2nd star from the Washington Capitals, Jacob Vrana, had 5 goals, 6 points in 3 games, including a hat trick last night against the Calgary Flames. He's actually off to a nice start to the season, as 9 goals, 14 points in 16 games, especially after a disappointing playoff performance for him. It's really good to get him off to a good start. And, of course, the 1st star of the week, the alien from the Vancouver Canucks, Elias Pettersson, 3 goals, 9 points in 4 games, has been absolutely lighting the league up of late. Especially over this.
He hasn't even really looked good until this last week. Like, this last week is probably the EP40 that we know here in Vancouver, and if I'm not mistaken, 10 points in those 4 games. So.
Yeah, and he was the fastest Canuck to 20 points through the first 14 games since Trevor Linden in the 1995-96 season, where Linden had 21 points through the first 14 games. So it just shows how high standard-wise, how well Pettersson is playing right now.
And, of course, the leader for the Canucks in that stat, I believe, was 1984-85, number 9, Tony Tanti, who is the reason why I'm a Canucks fan today.
Yeah, he's one of those Canucks where it's like I'd actually have to do a bit of research on him, because like I hear his name, but I haven't seen like much highlights or anything.
Tony Tanti, Petri Skriko, and Stan Smeel were the guys in the 80s until Trevor Linden was drafted and, of course, came along in 89. But, yeah, those guys were, to me, the heart and soul. And, of course, they got Greg Adams and Kirk McLean in 89 as well, which made a big difference. So Um, we have so those are the 3 stars of the week. Sorry for the delay there. But we also have a minor trade this year for this past week, as well as some other news.
All right, yeah. So the New Jersey Devils, their goaltending, well, it sucked.
It sucks, and we're just being nice.
Yeah, to put it politely. They traded a 2021 seventh round pick to the Tampa Bay Lightning for Louis Domingue.
It is very conditional too, so it might even be free.
Yeah,
Depending on some of the conditions, if it's met or not. So it's the Ming getting almost handed away, and I know Leaf fans are all screaming.
I know. Yeah, it's just like I was just looking up. Schneider has like an 8.47 save percentage so far this year, and Blackwood isn't much better. Domingue, we'll see how he does, because like even though like his record was amazing last year for Tampa Bay, like his save percentage wasn't like blowing anybody out of the water. And in 4 games in the American Hockey League, he's 2-1-1, but his save percentage is below 900. But I don't know how, like AHL, it sort of depends on what sort of team you have in front of you, too. But at least they're adding a veteran goalie. And you never know if he can get on a bit of a streak or something. And then also with the Nashville Predators, they extended Austin Watson to a 3-year, $4.5 million extension, coming in at a $1.5 million cap hit. That was actually announced during the game that he was playing against Calgary, and he actually ended up having 2 goals and 4 points that night. So
Great game against Calgary, and entertainment-wise, that was one of the better games I think of the season, which we'll touch on I think in a little bit. I think Scott Darling is the other one that signed as well.
Yeah. Scott Darling, after getting traded from Carolina to Florida and then bought out by Florida, he has signed in Austria for the rest of this season. So I'm hoping he can sort of figure things out, because he had that great run with Chicago there. And then it was just sort of like along the lines of where Carolina, they were trying to get a goalie where like they tried Eddie Lack first and that didn't work, and then they brought in Darling. But at least now they got things figured out with Mrazek there now. But yeah, it's good to see him back on the ice, even if it is just over in Europe.
Let's jump over to Winnipeg right now, where this weekend some more stuff's come out, and this Dustin Byfuglien situation is getting really weird.
Yeah, so basically, like Byfuglien, he had ankle surgery, but since he is suspended by the team, there's no coverage and all that. So now
he's currently not getting paid.
Yeah, and then with that, it's just strange because like if he needed the surgery and stuff, and even if he didn't want to play, like why not report, get the surgery, go on long-term injured reserve, and still get paid your millions of dollars. But the only guy that knows that what is happening is Byfuglien himself. But right now it looks like the NHLPA is going to file a grievance to the NHL. And then I think it's going to get a little bit messy to see how things go. But yeah, it's a really strange situation. But I guess this ankle injury had been bothering him last season, and then it sort of just hung around, sort of thing, and eventually got done. But yeah, it's a weird situation.
Well, and it's looking to me more and more like Dustin Byfuglien might come back to hockey, but it probably won't be in Winnipeg. There seems to be some issues there, and it'll be interesting to see if he does want to come back, and if Winnipeg even wants to keep him, because I mean, right now, if they wanted to trade him, they could probably get some assets for him, depending on which way they want to go. But man, their defense from last year sure has been depleted. They're now filling in the holes with guys like Lucas Pisa, as we know. Danny Sabourin, I believe. Scott Sabourin, sorry. Danny Sabourin, of course, an ex-goalie in the NHL. Scott Sabourin with the Ottawa Senators tried hitting David Backes with his face the other night. Didn't end up well for him. What do you have for an update on that?
Yeah. So it was a super scary situation. It was like only like a few minutes actually into the game where Sabourin went to hit Backes, and then Backes' helmet sort of caught him on the cheekbone, and then he was knocked out cold even before he hit the ice, and he landed like right on his face. I think my dad brought up, it sort of reminded him of I think it was like Kevin Stevens and something Pilon.
Yes, with Kevin Stevens of the Penguins against the Islanders, where he just fell and was already unconscious and then laid in a pool of blood, right?
Yeah. So it's sort of like one where it's just like you're knocked out cold, land on your face, and then and then you're not sure what's all going on. But luckily, after you stretchered off the ice, or when he was getting stretchered off the ice, he gave a little thumbs up. And then yesterday, he posted a picture on Instagram of himself. And luckily, all that happened was he suffered a fractured nose. I saw one of his teeth was chipped, and he had a nice black eye. But luckily, it looks like he's going to be all right and got off pretty lucky. But the other big thing here is David Backes also left with an injury, but you could see that he was visibly upset. And this is a guy that really cares about cares about the game and all the guys that play in it. And you could see he was visibly upset. And of course, like we know, he was the captain of the Blues before he came over to Boston. So we know he's highly respected around the league. And but yeah, hopefully he's all right as well. But yeah, it was just a really tough situation.
A couple other suspensions around the league, including Milan Lucic. What do you got for us on that?
Yeah, so Milan Lucic was suspended 2 games for sucker punching Cole Sherwood in the face. Basically, what happened was Lucic was skating up the ice. Sherwood picked his pocket and got a shot on Riddick, and then Sherwood poked Riddick with his stick to the glove, and then Lucic came in. Basically, instead of doing everything but just trying to shove him, but he came in with a sucker punch to the face, which knocked the guy back on his back. But it's just a dumb move. I think Lucic was given a 4-minute roughing call on the play. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's I totally understand why Lucic hey, if somebody poked me or whatever, I'd want somebody to go after him. But it's just he could have done anything but sucker the guy in the face. He could have come in and a shove to the chest from Lucic to that guy probably would have done the same effect. but yeah,
I almost think it's a reputation suspension. He's been suspended before, and they just looked at it and said, "Hey, you targeted his head. You went right after him instead of giving him an opportunity to protect himself." So that's why they gave him the 2 games. But there was another suspension too, I believe, right?
So Adam Lowry was suspended 2 games for a hit from behind at the Heritage Classic game on over Shillington, and he was back last night against Vegas, and he threw another questionable hit on Alex Tuck, where he hit him in the head. No penalty on the play, and there will be no further league discipline on that. But he had to answer the bell, where he had to drop the gloves with Ryan Reeves the following face-off. And Alex Tuck, who had just come back from injury last game because he had missed the start of the season with an injury, he's out day-to-day with an upper body injury, going through concussion protocol right now. So that's a big loss for the Knights, because they finally just got him back, and now he's back out of the lineup. And we saw another questionable hit in the Canucks Sharks game where Brendan Dillon threw a super late hit on Sautner. And I know it's more the way he landed, but it's just one of those calls where it's the ref's in the corner right there, and 3 or 4 seconds pass, and it's just and then Dillon throws a hit. It's just how is there no call on that play? But yeah, the bigger problem is that Lowry hit on Tuck. But yeah, it's been some bad missed calls, and even that hit, the ref was looking right at Tuck and Lowry. But yeah.
What other injuries do you have for us? I know Michael Furlan's out, still in concussion protocol with the Canucks. Quinn Hughes is day-to-day, didn't practice today. But around the league, what else you got for us?
Yeah, so Tyler Mott, also with the Canucks, he's been updated at being out for 4 weeks now. He was listed at week to week, but now he's going to be out at least a month. We had Jesperi Kotkaniemi with Montreal. He's out with a groin injury, and they called up Ryan Pelling from the minors. We'll be interested to see how he does up with the big club. Also, Patrick Hornquist with the Pittsburgh Penguins is out with a lower body injury. So once when they got everybody back, and now they're losing guys again. But Evgeny Malkin did return on Saturday, which was big news or big help for that Pittsburgh lineup. Also, Logan Brown with the Ottawa Senators is out week to week with an upper body injury. While some guys returned, Blake Como returned for Dallas. Brandon Montour and Jimmy Vesey both came back from Buffalo. Another big injury, Jace Howerluck with Florida is out at least a month with an upper body injury. He took a huge, massive hit from Nikita Zadorov from Colorado.
Almost like a Nick Cronwall hit, I think.
Yeah, and he landed like super awkwardly into the boards. And then Philippe Forsberg also came back from injury to help. And then also Victor Hedman is still out day-to-day with a lower body injury. And that could be tough news for Tampa Bay because Tampa Bay and Buffalo are set to play back-to-back games over in Sweden as part of the Global Series. And with a guy like Hedman having a chance to play in his hometown, he's hoping to get into one of those games or both of those games. But that could be a big loss because we've seen all the struggles that Tampa Bay has been going on, and missing Hedman in that lineup just adds to it.
If those two teams don't split and one wins both and the other loses both, it'll be interesting to see what that does to the standings there in the Atlantic Division.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like the way like Buffalo's going right. Well, Boston's one of like I would say the top team in the NHL right now.
Yeah, Boston's only got the one regulation loss. Both their tenders are on fire.
Yeah, and like Buffalo, they're only 2 points behind Boston right now, though they've played 2 more games. But that'd be huge because you're trying to keep ahead of all those teams behind you. Like Florida's 2 points behind them. But after that, it's just like if they can get both of those wins, like Toronto hasn't been playing the greatest of late. Montreal is sort of sitting around a couple games above 500. But especially for Tampa Bay, they're going to start to need some points. Like they've been okay, but like they from the level that they played last year, we know there has to be way more because like Kucherov, he's only been like he's a little bit under a point a game so far this season, which by his standards that's that's not good for him. But yeah, it's just one of those things where you're just waiting for Tampa Bay to go off, but they're just sort of just hovering and playing the same way. But that's good for them to go through some a bit of controversy or whatever to build as the season goes along.
We said we'd get back to it, but the Nashville-Calgary game this past week was super exciting. Nashville was up 4-1, couple shorthanded goals in the second period, going into the third. And Calgary comes back to tie it at 4, but then Nashville scores with about 1:20 left to go up 5-4. Calgary pulls the goalie, scores with about 20 seconds left to tie it again. And then Calgary wins it with about 3 or 4 seconds left in overtime. What did you think about that game, and what did you think of the between the legs Tkachuk goal to win it?
Oh man, it's just crazy, yeah. Because just my thing is like Calgary is getting outshot 27-9 after 2 periods. They've given up 2 shorthanded goals, and I was just like, all right, they're basically out. I saw it was like 4-2. They got 1, but I was like, Nashville will close these guys out. And then I think I went out for about an hour, and then I came back, and all of a sudden I saw this 6-5 Calgary in overtime. With that Tkachuk scoring that between the legs goal in the dying seconds of overtime. It's just an insane goal. It's just like we saw Tkachuk do it last year, but it's just more he was sort of like in the slot and he's able to do that. But like to move in at that speed and then in that angle and just to think of it's like, oh, I'm gonna put my stick between my legs and get it as much as he did on that puck was just absolutely incredible. But I probably shouldn't have ruled out the Flames because we know last year they were basically the comeback kids all last season. I don't know how many third period comebacks that they had last year where they were trailing by a couple of goals or something and they came back to win. So I probably shouldn't have ruled them out. But yeah, it was just an insane finish to that game.
Well, and Canucks coach Travis Green said that we're seeing a lot more games this year around the league where a 3-goal lead's not for sure anymore. There's been a lot of comebacks. So that's exciting to see in the league. Definitely. But this past week, we also had a couple of games. Reason why Mike Smith's third star, over 50 shots against Pittsburgh in that win. And then San Jose gets over 50 shots against Winnipeg and ends up losing a game. Do you think shots are on the increase or what's going on there?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, but both great performances. The Connor Hellbuck and Mike Smith both with 51 saves. But yeah, it's a sort of weird because usually like last year, like we saw Carolina, like they were like a shot producing team, but they weren't putting up wins. But it just sort of depends on the quality of the shots, because if you're able to box out and limit a lot of those shots to the outside, it doesn't really matter how many you get on if you're able just to limit to like a one and done sort of thing. But yeah, it's like talk about the Sharks. You want to talk about a struggling team right now, dead last in the Western Conference right now. It's not been good. It's just like,
first team to 10 losses as well.
yeah, it's just like the goaltending sucked. Burns, Carlson, Vlasic, they're all in the double digits and minuses this season. Yeah, and then the goaltending, Martin Jones, let's see here, has an 887 save percentage to start this year, and that's in 10 games. Aaron Dell hasn't been much better, but yeah, it's just a complete mess after losing Pavelski in the offseason and going with a bit more of a younger lineup. But yeah, there's a lot of trouble going with San Jose, because at least we've seen a team like Dallas, they started to figure things out and they're starting to climb up in the standings. But San Jose, like something has to happen pretty quick here, and I'll be interested to see how patient Doug Wilson, the Sharks GM, is to make a coaching change, because I saw Pierre LeBrun brought up that he's only fired 2 coaches in his entire tenure with the Sharks, and both of those came in the off season. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with Pete DeBoer if this keeps up, especially through the month of November.
Hard to have an Around the NHL segment without bringing up the New York Islanders. As they continue to win, they've won, 8 in a row? 9 in a row?
Nine in a row.
9 in a row, including the last one, I believe, was 1-0 shutout over Buffalo. They are a Barry Trotz team that's just on a complete roll.
Yeah, and you want to talk about goaltending, because this was like the one thing that I thought, it's like there's no way like they can get the exact same goaltending as they did last year. But you know what? Yeah, let me read off these stats. Thomas Greiss, 7 games, 6 starts, is 5-1-0 with a 9.33 save percentage, and Semyon Varlamov, 5-2-0 with a 9.29 save percentage and 1 shutout in that game last night. So the goaltending's been insane, just the way they play defensively. And I think Derek Brassard's actually been on a nice run. He scored in 5 straight games right now. And this is a team where Jordan Eberle's out right now with an injury. Andrew Ladd's still out, though I think he may be getting moved down to Bridgeport for the next little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just like you never. I guess you never want to underestimate Barry Trotz, because with all those Nashville teams that he had, where he didn't have any superstars, but they were still always one of the top teams in the league. It's just insane the type of run they've been on right now.
Shout out to local gal Amy Potomac as well for her goal the other night, which was fantastic. Former CMCHL player that we both played against. What did you think of that goal? And for me, who's coached women's hockey, you don't see a lot of high-end talent like that in the women's game, so it was fun to see.
Yeah, just a stick between the legs goal. It's just to come down with that speed and then just roof it. Oh, just so sick. But yeah, it's like at least I can say I robbed her a couple of times in overtime. That'd have to be. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago that she played a little bit.
I think it was at least 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, she played actually for your current team that you play for.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
And I remember playing her in the playoffs and she was by far their best player. So.
Well, yeah, for sure. But yeah, just another insane goal. But that's just the thing. We're seeing more of these highlight reel goals, more coming up more and more often. Like I saw there was another lacrosse goal, actually like in a Bantam game that I saw, where I think a guy the kid. I think he got stopped and he was behind the net and he just sort of picked it up and wrapped it around and put it in. I was just like, it's happening at all levels now. So it's just crazy the amount of skill and just the ability to pull those moves off in high pressure situations like that.
I've always been worried about doing those kind of goals in our league, only because I know our refs will call a high stick or do something silly, right? Just for
Yeah.
not paying attention.
Well, I still found because I remember on Matthew Kachuk's goal, they asked Brady and his dad Keith about the goal, and I think Brady says like, "Oh, Matt's always been like that sort of type of player," and then Keith says like, "Oh, I would have pulled my groin if I tried that." sort of thing. But yeah, it's just amazing to see these types of goals getting scored at such a consistent rate now.
Yeah. Matt, final word before we end today's show.
Yeah, so only 4 games tonight. I got an early hockey game tonight, so all the highlights today will post later this evening. Tomorrow there will be no highlights. I know it's a busy schedule with 11 games. I'm going to the Canucks game against the St. Louis Blues, and I'm hoping Hughes will be back in the lineup. They're not ruling him out, but other than that, I'll be excited to see Pedersen and the gang again. Keep things rolling. But it's a one home game, and then they go out for like back-to-back road games, and then they're back at home. It's a bit of a weird schedule to start the month of November for the Canucks. But yeah,
knowing your luck, Jake Allen will start for St. Louis, right? So.
I know, yeah. I won't mind seeing a Binnington Pedersen matchup in that one. So, but you want to talk about two hot teams? The Blues have played just one more game than the Canucks, and basically have like the exact same record. I think they just have like one more overtime or shootout loss in the Canucks. So should be a very good game. And if there is any like crazy goals or anything, I'll catch up on that on Wednesday there. But yeah, just to give you guys a heads up, no highlights on Tuesday. But I will have today's up later tonight.
Perfect. I'm Aaron. He's Matt. Thank you for listening to B&B Hockey Talk, wherever you might be joining us from around the globe. We thank you for your continued support and all the love that we get from you guys. So we'll see you back on Wednesday with our special edition Vancouver Canucks episode, and then we'll be back for Around the NHL again to wrap up the week on Friday. And we'll see you guys all then.